Hi everyone, it's been a long time since my last video. I'm back again with another fairy tale themed quiet book. My favorite niece had requested for the Hansel and Gretel themed quiet book, and I had to do my best to please her. First, I would like to take you through the components of the book. If you are here to see the story, skip ahead. For the cover page, first of all, I have a little farm patch with onions, potatoes, and carrots. There is a wheelbarrow which can store these vegetables in front of the farm patch. There is also a patch of greenery and sunflowers next to the path which leads out of the house. This patch is connected to the main page with snap buttons and can come out and be replaced with some big grey rocks. There is also a simple section of the house visible. Nothing fancy here, just the door and a compartment inside. The second page is the path leading into the forest. It is a straightforward page with a path and few trees and bushes. One change I made here is I stuck some green felting wool to the ground to give it a more natural, grassy look. The witch's house page has a lot of sections and subsections. On the topmost brown section, I stuck all the goodies I had made with felt and resin. The roof is not removable. I made it using mixed media paste and small bits of colorful felt for the sprinkles. The brown section is connected to the base of the page with magnetic snap buttons. Another beige section opens out with the oven on the right side and the cage underneath. Inside the cage, I have added some bones as the story requires them. I also made a small bag with sequins of a few types to be the gems. A word of caution here, these little bits can be a choking hazard. However, my niece is almost 8 years old and hence I know that she will be careful while playing with the book. This being a last minute addition to my quiet book, I had no other place to store it and hence kept it in a corner of the cage. A new feature of this book of mine is the handwritten story in the back cover. My niece loves to read and I decided this would be a good addition as opposed to leaving it bare. In the pouch, I have stored all the other extras, the finger puppets of the 5 characters of the story and the 2 black bags. The black bags are identical. One of them contains white pebbles I made with polymer clay and the other contains small squares of white felt to make it look like breadcrumbs. Let's move on to the story. Hansel and Gretel, a quiet book version by Artsy Audiologist. Once upon a time, in a little house next to the woods, lived Hansel and Gretel with their father and cruel stepmother. Difficult times had fallen on the family and the land had become barren and desolate. There was no food left to feed the family. Every day, the stepmother would force the father to leave the children in the woods. One day, he felt he was left with no choice. He told his wife he would take the children and leave them in the woods the next morning. Little did he know that Hansel had heard their entire conversation. That night, Hansel sneaked out of the house and collected as many white pebbles as he could and hid them in his bag. Early next morning, their father called out, "Hansel, Gretel, let's go to the forest and collect some wood." "Coming, father," said the children and ran out to join him. Their father then led them deeper and deeper into the forest. He did not notice that in every few steps Hansel would drop a little white pebble on the path. When they reached deep into the forest, their father said he would go in search of water and asked the children to wait for him there. By night time, when their father had not returned, Hansel told Gretel that they would find their way back home. The moon shone bright on the white pebbles and the 2 children followed these pebbles back home. Their parents were surprised to see them back home. That night, their stepmother locked them inside the house out of anger. And thus, Hansel could not sneak out and collect pebbles. However, when their father called them out next morning, Hansel managed to grab a small piece of bread from the table and hide it in his bag. Again, their father took them deeper and deeper into the woods. Hansel dropped a small breadcrumb every few steps as they walked. Little did he realize, though, that animals and birds were eating away his breadcrumbs as he threw them in the path. When they were left deep in the woods, and when it was night time, Hansel realized that he could not find the way back home, as there were no breadcrumbs in the path to guide them. Lost and hungry, they wandered around in the forest until they came upon a magical house. It was magical because it was made up of all the sweets and treats one could imagine. The walls were covered with gingerbread men, biscuits, cakes, candies, and toffees. The trees were made of lollipops, and the roof was made of icing and sprinkles. Hungry as they were, they ran towards the house and started eating the goodies. A wicked witch lived in the house. She found them eating the treats and grabbed them. She locked Hansel away in a scary cage filled with bones and dirt and set Gretel to do her housework. Every day, the wicked witch would feed Hansel goodies in order to fatten him up so she could eat him. Blind as she was, every day she would ask Hansel to put out his hand so she could feel how fat he had gotten. Hansel fooled her every day by reaching out with a bone from the cage, so she kept thinking he was skinny. One day, the witch lost patience and decided to eat him skinny as he was. Prepare the oven, she told Gretel. Gretel went about her work as if she had not heard. So the witch moved closer and repeated, Prepare the oven. Gretel ignored her till the witch came closer and closer. Then suddenly, when the witch was close enough, Gretel pushed her into the oven and she burned to her death. Gretel had managed to steal the keys to the cage and she rescued Hansel. As they were running out, they came across a bag full of jewels. They took the bag of jewels with them and ran back home. It was like the magic of the witch had lifted as they found their way home easily. When they reached home, their father begged for their forgiveness. Their stepmother had since died and their father had searched all over the forest for them. They showed their father the bag of jewels. Lo and behold, the farm started thriving again. No longer was it barren and desolate. Now their father was able to feed them well, and so they lived happily ever after. I really hope you enjoyed listening to the story, and I really hope you liked the ideas I have used for my book. Please press that like button and share this video with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do that. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.